All right. Well, Megan kind of alluded to it, but Sarah's going to talk a little bit about, as the stay-at-home orders, been lifted and things are opening back up, but wearing a mask has been part of our sort of normal life for the past few months now. And Sarah has some tips and some ideas about, just adapting to, this new normal that we have of wearing a mask. So I'll hand it off to Sarah.
Yeah, thanks. So the reason why I'm talking about some tips for specifically for kids wearing masks is because, now that places are opening up, our kids specifically are going to be going out a lot more. And like Alex said, the mask is still, a really important part of going out in public and required. And so masks can be, really unfamiliar or scary sometimes to kids. And if they haven't been out much in public so far, like during this pandemic, now might be a time when it's like we really got to get them used to it and understanding why everyone's wearing masks. So what's really important as I'm going through these tips is just to think about, like, how can we make sure that we prepare kids for wearing masks before they actually have to do it out in public. So the earlier that we can start to kind of get them used to it, the easier it'll be on them and on you as their caregiver. So the first tip I have is just to start by explaining the reason for wearing the mask. And I guess, to back up a little bit, if you haven't had a chance to have a conversation with your child yet about what is coronavirus and, how things are changing in our world, that is an important place to start. And kids can learn about that in ways that are developmentally appropriate. So in our very first episode of Big Conversations, there's a segment all about that, and we have resources up on our website. So please check that out if you haven't had a chance to learn about that or talk to your kids about it yet. If your kids do know about coronavirus and they're kind of familiar with what's happening in our world, explaining the masks specifically helps them to feel like they have information and they might feel a little bit more in control of the situation when they have that knowledge and that information about why we're wearing masks. So just explaining to them in simple terms, like masks help to keep germs from spreading, and they keep us safe and they keep other people safe. That's all that really needs to be said. I also have a link up on our website to a YouTube video that helps to explain it as well if you're feeling a little bit uncomfortable about what exactly to say, and that can be a good conversation starter too. So my next tip is to have your kids personalize their mask and feel like it's their mask that they created if possible. So especially with fabric masks, this can be done pretty easily with, allowing them to pick out their color or their pattern or design. You might also consider using like Sharpies or fabric paints if possible. I know that might be a little bit tricky with washing the mask, but if you have some temporary ones that they can use, that might be a great idea. I've even seen some stickers that, are very temporary and that could change every time they wear their mask too, which could make it fun for them. The only thing with this is that if you're using surgical type masks that are kind of that blue, like papery type material, those should not be decorated because that actually ruins the integrity of the mask and it's not as effective. So fabric masks, go for it, and hopefully that could be fun for your kids. Next, it's also really important to kind of model mask making or mask wearing rather for your kids. So before they have to go out in public and they see all these people wearing masks, if you could have family members or people who they feel really close to send a picture of themselves wearing masks, that helps them to see, like, it's not just me. It's not as much of a scary thing because these people who I really love are also wearing masks. And so it must be okay and it must be normal. And if you can kind of model wearing a mask around the house every once in a while, that helps just for their brain to get used to seeing it as well. And as you're practicing with your child to get ready for them to wear a mask in public, it's important to kind of take really slow steps to get them there. So rather than telling them, 5 minutes before you have to walk out the door and they might be needing to wear a mask for the potentially first time, practice it ahead of time. So if you can start, a week or 2 weeks even before, or even if you don't have anything planned, like just get started now. And that's a great opportunity to have them just put it on for like 1 minute or 5 minutes at a time and just slowly build up each time you're able to practice with them, how long of a period they're wearing it. And reinforce, like definitely with a lot of praise and even rewards for wearing the mask. And then, you know, eventually it'll get a lot easier when they get rewarded for that too. You could also pair it with a really fun activity. So if they're, you know, really into watching something on their tablet or like a favorite game that they like to play, having them wear it for a couple minutes while they're doing that can kind of make it a little bit easier for them too. And if your child's not able to start right away with wearing a mask, even for a minute or 5 minutes, you can substitute something else like a scarf or a bandana, maybe something that they already have that they're really familiar with, or something that you have that might smell like you and make it feel a little bit more comforting too is another option. And the last thing that I just wanted to say is that you can make it kind of fun, this idea of wearing a mask. So incorporating it into like dress up times, or, you know, pretending like you're a superhero or a doctor or a nurse or something really cool and exciting can be a great way to help your kids get used to it. And I've also seen some cool ideas about like putting masks on their favorite stuffed animals or dolls and things like that too. So those are my tips for today. I would say check out, if you haven't had a chance to talk to your kids about coronavirus, definitely go back to our first episode resources first, and then come back to these so that you can have the full conversation with them so that they're informed. But up on our website for this week is an infographic with a lot of these tips, and then the link for the mask YouTube video that explains it to kids as well. So check it out.
Awesome. Thanks, Sarah. I was good. There was a question I had and then I lost it.
That's okay.
No, I got it back. So when you're talking, because one of the things that I think has been an adjustment, I think for me too, has just been the like having to wear it, because like I've never really I've maybe worn a mask like maybe 2 or 3 times in my life, and you know, never had to wear one before. So like the adjustment period I think was just really difficult, and especially if there are kids who are going to be outside of the house more frequently now. Like getting used to just having something on your face, I think is really important. So that tip of just like, even for a couple minutes a day, just kind of wearing it around the house just to get used to how it feels. And, you know, if it is uncomfortable, adjusting it so it's more comfortable, you know, because it is, you know, I think for the foreseeable future going to be a pretty regular part of our life. So I think that piece of it's really important. And then the other thing that I was thinking, the question that I had was, what is like a cool mask that you guys have seen, or if you could like make your own, like what would it look like, or what would you do? Because I kept thinking, I was like, oh, if I really want to do my John Legend impersonating early, I could just do like from here down of him, and then maybe people, face. Yeah, like then maybe people would just think that it really is him. So that was my idea, but I was more curious if you guys had thoughts or things that you would want on your masks.
Well, Sarah, I love that you said, you know, using like a piece of, like allowing the kids to wear or make a mask using something that they're familiar with, or like an old shirt or something like that. And I think it was the second or third episode I had shared the video, or at least the form for making your own t-shirt mask. Mm-hmm. I think that's a really cool way to be able to find an old t-shirt with like your favorite character or somebody, and cutting out that portion of the t-shirt, or mom or dad's favorite t-shirt, and having that mask. That's, you know, I'm sure it feels a lot better on your face too when it's more of a t-shirt material than like the elastic and stuff like that too.
Right. Yeah, that's a great idea. That's so easy for kids to personalize it that way too.
Yeah.
I'm thinking for me, like, I think what I've been thinking a lot about is that it's so hard to read people's facial expressions or like tell how people might even be feeling when we're wearing masks. And so I think if there is a way to just have one with like a nice message on it or something that's like, just spreading some happiness or kindness, I think that would just help people to recognize like even if you can't tell that people are still friendly, like we are still friendly and like interacting in human ways underneath the masks. So that's my mask dream.
I totally thought you were going to go a different direction. And this is honestly what I thought you were going to say, was that you'd have like a Velcro like mouth that you could like flip or
Change
like
the
turn around.
feeling.
Yeah, so you could be like, if you're not in a good mood, you could have like a frown,
That's a
on your
great
mask,
idea.
or a smile on your mask, or something like that.
You should
So you went a much
patent
more,
that, Alex.
yeah, I know, you went a much more normal direction, which I appreciate. Um, but yeah, that's totally where I thought you were going. But I think that's great to just share positive, and I've seen a lot of that actually. That's the one that I've seen quite a bit, is people sharing like really positive messages on their masks, which is cool. So
Yeah,
There's
that's great.
there's also a really cool one that of course it's a bit of an investment because it is Disney, but they have masks that have it's like Mickey Mouse's face or Marie from the Aristocats or like different things like that, so you can be a Disney character from like the nose down, which is pretty cool. But of course, because it's Disney, they're kind of pricey for one mask, but still worth it for me.
I was gonna say, how many do you have, Megan? Do you have like,
Just don't be surprised when I come to the office and Mickey Mouse.
yes. That Marie from Aristocrats, that's a really deep cut. When you said Marie, I'm like, ooh, what Disney character is named Marie? But you're the resident Disney expert, so I will defer to you for sure. All right. Well, we have Tess coming up next with her Tess Talks, and then we are going to be joined by our special guest after that. So stay tuned.